Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia.
I'm Mike DiLisio.
And this is another Top 10 for you. So all of us in the past, in our past lives, in our past less green lives, we're a little green today. I'm saying
the
screen
footage
there.
is that's true.
Or a little.
That's
green.
from me making it green from the previous
Here
one.
we go. Yes.
I'm not green.
Use my shirt as a guide.
Your shirt's probably thrown off the whole thing, is what it is.
It's all complete catastrophe.
We've all been teachers.
Yes. And if there's one thing we all have in common, other than being teachers, is we hate meetings.
I don't think you guys come to the level of hatred I have towards meetings.
No, I don't think that's true. I think you're right.
I despise them with all my heart. I really do. I mean, and this is problematic because I need to go to them and be in them and apparently run them. One of the main reasons I'm the chairman of deacons at my church is so that I run the meetings. Because we're going to get them done in time. We now run 20-minute meetings as opposed to the 3-hour meetings they were in the past. I've been in teacher meetings that have gone over 2 hours.
Oh, man.
Especially when any sort of consensual decision needs to be made.
I'm sorry, there's also always that one teacher that has something to say about every topic at every meeting, and you just want them to shut up!
Okay, so if you're watching this and you understand the phrase here,
If you're watching, Linda, this is for you.
Yeah.
if you don't understand the phraseology, this is
Yes.
I think a very American phrase.
Yeah.
But basically, there's a lot of meetings that you go to, and they hand you a sheet that tells you everything in the meeting.
A summary, yes.
You then read that out loud and discuss it, just in case no one understands how to read it. And we say you could have just emailed that to everyone, and it would have been the same
This
thing.
meeting could have been an email.
Right.
Yes.
So it says it all the time. This meeting could have been an email. So what we're talking about today are games that are they go on too long,
Yes.
like meetings go on too long.
Right.
I want to be clear on mine.
Yeah.
So I picked my 10 here. Games are games that I either like or don't like. I have a mix of that.
Yeah.
But I would like them much, much more if they were shorter. My negative rating of the game, whether it's a low rating or it's like a 6 or 7 as opposed to a higher rating, is because the length of the game that's the main sequence. Some of these have a few other problems and stuff, minor things, but it's the length. The length.
We are aligned in that way. I don't love all of these games, although I like more than I dislike on my list. And they all, I feel like, would be better if they were shorter. That's why I didn't pick big, epic games that are designed to be big, epic, long games, right? I think if that's what the experience they're trying to provide is, I generally...
I mostly have that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right.
Well, I did a different thing. I picked 10 games that I wish the theme was about emailing.
Oh, I love
Or
that.
had something to do with computing.
I'm going to change my list.
Several of these would be very well themed in RAM, ROM,
JavaScript.
or REM. REM.
Yeah.
I'm
Why
excited
are we talking about sleep now?
No, he's talking about the band.
I'm talking about
It's the end
what's
of the world,
frequency
as we know it.
Kenneth. And Linda, this is for you too. I don't even know what Linda.
So what did you do for your top 10?
Same thing you guys did.
All right, that's fantastic.
All right, here we go. Number 10. What if this is our longest top 10 ever?
This top 10 should have been an email.
that we have the power to make that happen.
We're trying to preempt the comments already.
Oh, yeah.
All right, my number 10, I got a little seasick there for a moment. My number 10 is a game that is a Euro game. It's a heavy Euro game, but I think it would be much better if it was shorter, quicker to play, and still give that same experience. My number 10 is, I don't think you like it, Tricarion. Have you played Tricarion?
I hate it.
Yeah, right. Now, does length have anything to do with that?
Probably.
Yeah. I think
But
Tricarion...
the lack of theme, and there's a lot of problems I have with Tricarion.
I actually think it's a very thematic game for a Euro game.
Tell me how that final round works again with the show. What are you doing? You putting on tricks, or are you connecting cards and putting cubes on them, or whatever?
Both, right? Talk to Brian Drake. Look, he's not going to do any of mentalism unless he has two triangles that match up together.
All right,
so
fine.
this is a big sprawling game, right? So I expect it's going to have a bit of time to play it, right? Maybe an hour and a half maybe even 2 if you're playing at a higher player count. This game consistently for me plays at 3 hours or more, and it's a little too long. Actually, it's a lot too long for the experience that I'm looking to get out of it. I like it. It was, in or near my top 100. I think it was in my top 100. I don't know how long it's going to stay just because it takes so long to play it that I don't play it as often as I would if it was a third shorter.
It's also a teach, man.
It is a teach. That is true. It's not easy to teach, but that's Mind Clash. I mean, these are games that you have to put in a lot in the front end to get the enjoyment out of it. And I do think that it pays off very well. It's just a bit too long for me.
Looks like a whole lot. I've never played it, but that picture looked like a whole lot.
Yeah, well, I think that it probably had some expansion stuff in it too. But even the base game, there's a lot going on. It's a really good game, just too long. Carry on.
All right, my number 10 is at number 10 because it's easily fixed. And in fact, I often, when I still would play this game, would do so with a modified endgame trigger. The game is DC Comics deck building game.
Oh, interesting.
The DC Comics deck building game is a fine little deck building game. I enjoy it. It is just too stinking long and repetitive for what it does. People who really like it don't seem to mind that. In fact, I had, probably the last time I played this, I played with a group who were fanatics of the game. And they loved, they knew it all. They, really were into it. And expansions made their way in and out of it with some mode you can do that with. And it just went on forever. Thankfully, the endgame trigger is
Someone flipped the table.
Thankfully, everyone died from old age. No, the deck of cards, the little deck of cards that denotes the bad guys you go up against.
Right.
You need to go through it.
Yeah.
You can just make that smaller.
It's very easy to, yeah.
It's very easy, but the rules as written, I do not like the way that works out. I think it just really, really outstays its welcome. The last half of the game, when playing by the rules, I'm like, let's go. And the turns keep getting longer because you can do more.
You're having more stuff.
It's like, I'll do this and this and that. I got 18 actions, 52 power. So truncating that, I'm happy with this one.
It's interesting. I wouldn't have considered this. I used to play this a lot with my oldest son, and especially since even if you have enough power to take out one of those villains, that is an end game trigger. You don't have to. You're not required to. You know what I mean? So you can even lengthen the game more if you want to just keep going.
By the way, I would like to stand up now and say people who do that need to stop.
That's true.
I'm playing a game with someone and they're winning by 200 points. They could end the game.
Yes.
And they're like, nah, let's keep going.
I want to do
what
better.
What is wrong with you? I've already lost.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Agreed.
Those people grow up to be torturers.
It's a good point.
Again, it's easily modifiable, so I'm not. It's my 10.
I don't know if that's a viable career option. Sorry.
What are you thinking?
I said those people grow up to be torturers, but I'm not sure it's a viable. People who run meetings.
Look, Tom, you have to have a varied skill set, right? Torture can just be one of the many skills that you have. You want to be flexible.
That's like a minor in college?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm in elementary education.
Look, I only need to take one more class and I'm going to get my
torture.
torture minor. I think might as well, right?
I like that. Okay, interesting.
All right, I did my top 10 in basically how much the length bothers me and how much it changes my view of the game. So don't take umbrage with where I put them necessarily.
Umbrage?
My number 10...
And correctly pronounced.
My number 10 is a Uwe Rosenberg game.
No. Not Uwe.
Yeah, but it's actually not one that people talk about as much today. But in the day, it was one of the most popular games out there.
Ora et Pitora.
No, it's a Bonanza, actually.
Oh, Bonanza's a good pick.
I like Bonanza. I think it's a fine game. It goes on too long.
Yes.
Particularly if you play more than, let's say, 4. And unfortunately, the game is better with more than 4.
Yes.
It plays better with more players, but it just drags out a bit, and you're sitting there. And I think if this came out today, he would probably do something to speed that up.
Probably.
Back in this day, I didn't complain about that
And it would be a
much.
worker placement game.
It would be.
And also, you would have to eat beans and feed the family.
I was going to say, how do you feed the beans?
Yeah, you'd have to eat. Like, you'd collect sets, and at the end of so many rounds, you'd have to eat some of them to survive. Uwe Rosenberg is a very hungry man.
I'm all in on stink beans.
This is a game about trading. And you have to keep the cards in your hand in a specific order, which is Something that not many people have followed that. There's very few
No.
games that have that
few, but
policy.
Behind the film does that, but you're right.
That's the newest,
That's
probably.
the newest one that does that, I think. Yeah.
It's just it's a cool concept, but it was like my turn, your turn. You go around table, and after maybe playing
through the
Uno for
deck.
2 years, you might go, this is not so long.
Right.
But I would like Bonanza if it was faster. That's all. My number 10, Bonanza.
It's a good call.
Yep. My number 9 is what I'm going to call a hidden gem.
Oh, hello.
Hidden gem.
Okay.
It's in the library, and I don't think you've played it, and I don't think you've played it.
Then it can't
It's
be
so
hidden.
hidden, we don't know it's even in there.
It's a hidden gem. I doubt it's ever.
He put it in the library.
I know.
I don't know if he's even. I don't even know if it's been checked
I've
out.
played it,
It's a
Mike.
good game. It's a cooperative game, but it goes on far too long. This is
I agree.
called. The pronunciation. It could go one of two ways, and I've never really learned. I'm going to say the Stygian Society. It could be Stygian.
Are you sure that's still in the library?
I'm not sure. Honestly, it has been in the library.
I may
since
have
I've been
pulled it
here.
mostly
Yeah, this
because-
is a Kevin Wilson game, and it's a really cool cooperative game with this very neat dice cube tower. It's not a dice tower.
It is cool looking.
It's really cool, and you drop the cubes into the top of the tower, and that's how attacking kind of works. And you're climbing up this tower, trying to get to the very top to face off against this big bad boss. The problem is that each one of these floors is a pretty lengthy battle against some of the minions, right? And it might be, 6 to 10 of these different things you've got to fight, and you're having to, use power cards and drop cubes, and it's really neat mechanically, but it is probably twice as long as it should be. Now, I've found a way to get around this by being absolutely terrible at the game, and so the game ends much earlier than it would if I was any good at it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
There's
So-
at least 2 of those on my list.
yeah. I have come back to it because I'm happy if I can get to like the 3rd floor, and you're supposed to get all the way up to like the 6th floor and then fight the baddie there. So it's neat, but it's too long. It is just too long, and I think even if you did perfectly on every floor, you're still looking at a couple of hours, maybe even longer.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, for a cooperative game that's kind of silly, has a fair amount of randomness to it, I don't think that it should last quite that long.
Right. No, I agree. I have not played that one. But I
I'm
don't
not
think
either, so we can't say if you're right or wrong.
You're probably
That's why I
right.
put it on my list.
58% likely you're right.
That's true. If someone says a game is too long, I usually accept that.
you're
I don't like,
you're right.
are you sure? I'm like, you're probably right.
Yeah.
All right, my number 9 is number 9 because, much like my number 10, you can adjust the length. You can make it shorter. Here's the reason why it's 9 and not 10. Most people will misjudge what they think is shorter. This is Robo Rally.
Oh, I was going to...
You were going to guess Robo Rally.
No, but I was trying to think of a game that happened in, but you're right. Robo Rally, I'll say make
Most
it shorter.
people are
Okay,
like-
I only use 4 boards.
That is way too long, okay? I guarantee you are making it longer than you think you are in Robo Rally. Oh, I'm only going to use 3 flags. Likely still too long, depending on where you put those flags. Let's go down to 2. That's too long. How about 1 flag?
This is a great choice. I should have put it on there. But, I mean, Roy said put 0 flags.
Yeah, well.
You're right, though. I mean, this game is a very good, reasonably length game, but not according to the rule book.
The rule
I think
book
even
says-
like they're you'll see this, you'll be like, oh, that's a tutorial one. I'll skip to the second one. That's usually what I do when I play
Yeah.
these games.
Yeah.
No, they all have to be like that. All of them.
Wow.
They are all too long. It's really, and then you add more players, chaos ensues, which means you get pushed off course. Having someone bump into you easily in this game just added 20 minutes to the game length. On the back end.
I knew there was a reason why I didn't want to play this. This game,
It's
everything I
too
hear
long.
about it makes me want to play
I
it
really
less.
like it, but again, the game is so tempting to be like, here's some new boards. You're like, those boards look awesome. Here's new things you can add. Let's do it. 8 hours later.
Yeah, it's just too long.
We
So
should
again,
have-
if you can
we should have
control
used
yourself.
we should have used that graphic, the SpongeBob graphic.
Yeah. 2 hours later.
There you go. That's my number 9.
My number 9 is based on a TV show, and actually they
Oh,
remade
I know
this.
what it is.
They remade this game as an X-Men game, but the originally
Oh.
Not
the originally jaunty show was Spartacus: Blood and Sand.
Oh, I was not what I was thinking.
I highly recommend watching it with young children.
Weren't they?
Do not.
They remade this as an X-Men game?
Are
Yeah.
you sure? I thought this was a Sons of Anarchy game.
Hands down, they remade this as an X-Men game.
Oh, okay.
That no one ever bought.
Fair enough.
WizKids did it. Okay, Roy bought it.
You got!
This is one of those. The X-Men game came out and was out of stock,
Wow.
and no one bought it really fast. Anyway, this is a game about. It's based on this. When I said watch your young kids, just to clarify, that's the opposite of kidding. It is. There's more blood in one TV show of this than there is in like 20 movies you can think of. That's not like he makes Kill Bill look like the guy didn't use enough blood.
Wow, okay.
And even the board game says mature content on it.
Yeah, there's one card with one curse word.
Oh, all right. Well,
So
There's a bunch of blood in the arena there.
sure, but that wouldn't be MA, but the game is ranked MA. Anyway, so in this game you have your own gladiators that you get, and you send them out into the arena, and it's a little bit of a boring fight in the arena. The game isn't particularly good at that, but it is kind of fun to get these gladiators, see them go in there, bid on the ones you want, and it goes on and on and on. You have to like bid to get your people in the arena, and then you bid on those, and you're trying to get. There's a lot of take that cards in the game, which I don't mind all this stuff. I do mind it when it's 2+ hours.
yes.
And that's just too long. This game should have been a nice streamlined 45 minutes to an hour, and I think it would have been a much better game. I know a lot of people love this game, and it has. I mean, it definitely has its fans. You know.
Sure.
I like the idea of it a lot. I like the concepts. I like a lot of things in it. It's just that after an hour, I'm like, all right. And it just seems like it's the grind. That's what this game has. And I mean, a lot of games have that, but it doesn't need to be that long.
You're not entertained.
Mark says the TV show is too adult for most adults.
Oof.
That's not particularly incorrect. It was on Stars, if that helps at all.
And they were trying to like outdo HBO, right?
Oh my word, they were trying to
They're
outdo
like,
HBO.
oh, you think you're hardcore.
Which is a bummer because the idea of Spartacus leading the rebellion is a cool concept. They were just like, nah, we're going to soap opera this thing to death. Anyhow, that's Spartacus.
My number 8 is a game that I don't particularly like, and I think it is primarily because it is way too long for the experience that it provides. This is a hidden movement game. Guesses?
It could be a lot of them, actually.
Could be.
Fury of Dracula?
What is the egregiously long hidden movement game that exists? Fury of Dracula is right. Fury of Dracula.
Wait, that was
Game
really...
is way too long.
Did he miss me? Or I feel
Way
like...
too long.
Of course he misses you every day.
I want, in a hidden movement game,
loves you.
I want to focus on the hidden movement. I don't want to focus on some really convoluted combat system.
Okay, hold up. Back it up.
I don't want to focus.
Hold up, okay? Clearly you're thinking of the Fury of Dracula 2nd edition or previous. The Fury of Dracula 3rd edition is a streamlined beauty.
Oh, interesting. The one that I played, I've only played one version of it. Oh, it was the 3rd edition. Way too long.
What about 4th edition?
Here's
Same as third.
Here's
It's the same as
fix,
third.
okay? There's an easy fix for
Maybe
this.
it was a 4th.
Die early. Much like the Stygian Society.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I wanted to die very early.
Oh, no.
The game was too long for what it does. It's like, come on, let's get... I didn't care anymore. At a certain point, I'm like, he's in the ocean, he's not in the ocean. Please, stick a stake in me. I'd rather... I mean...
I just read the other day, so it said
Way
this
too
game should have
long.
been called like the fear of Dracula, the cowering of Dracula, because in this game he's basically running the whole time.
Right.
He's not coming after you.
Yeah.
I completely get that.
Yeah.
This is I think of it as a mood game. And this game sets, you need to go in for an ambiance.
Right.
If that isn't there, if you're not working towards creating ambiance,
Yeah.
absolutely, it's too long. There is not enough action. There's not enough confrontation.
Right.
It is procedural in the way sort of a detective cop show is procedural.
Yeah.
And finally, like, someone shoots a bullet at someone, 50 minutes in or whatever.
Right.
This is like that, and I get that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I like that feeling in this one. That sort of like, beard stroking,
Yeah.
moody vibe. But you're right. It did not make my list, but I completely get it.
And to kiss up a little bit, I think I had the best possible experience of this, which was being taught by somebody who knows it very well.
Aww.
Somebody who was role-playing Dracula very well.
Wait, I played this with you?
Yeah, we played it at the Mac and Chess place.
I wasn't there.
That was second edition.
No, I don't know if it was.
100% second edition.
Okay, well, anyway. Well, then I still think it's too long.
That was second, yeah.
Yeah. It just, for a hidden movement game, I'd rather do like Letters from Whitechapel or Mind Management, which gives me that's the main thing I'm interested in a hidden movement game in like 45 minutes. So.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get that. No, it's a valid pick, Mike, and I, for one,
it's his number 8.
accept it. I get good, man.
That's not how you.
My number 8 is Fire and Axe, a Viking saga.
Yes! I like this choice.
This is a decent game. It's kind of a light game. Mechanically, this is not a...
that cover looks way more exciting than the game is.
You're not kidding.
Yeah, and this is another one in that sort of... it looks way more... Like there's going to be way more action
than there is. You're
sailing mostly and loading fish. And yes, you show up at these ports and roll dice, take them over, like you mark them. There's a lot of victory points in this game. This is not a Spartacus sort of themed thing. And that system's fine. That's an okay game. I don't necessarily need it to be Blood Rage. It's just too long for that. You go through these sagas, you go through the stages in the game, things unlock, you can go to a farther and farther ocean, which just takes more time sailing. You don't get faster, it just takes you more turns. But the game isn't necessarily changing. You need to literally travel farther. So it slows down. If this would lose 30 to 45 minutes, I'd be a lot happier with it.
I would too, but I wouldn't like the other time played either.
Yeah, you're not a fan of this one, yeah.
It has a few die rolls that really matter. I don't like that. Dice are great,
sure,
but they better spread out like over several rolls over the game. This has like maybe 20 or less rolls. And if you roll poorly for several of them, you've lost. I hate it.
But if it was 10 minutes...
There's very few games that they're 10 minutes, and I hate them. But they do exist.
They exist.
That's a good top 10.
No, Fire and Axe, I do enjoy.
Balls of hatred.
I do enjoy it.
Short balls of hatred.
I think I will.
What?
Maybe
We'll reevaluate that.
We'll come back. Keep going.
To anything but that, basically, yes.
Fire and Axe.
My number 8. Where were we? All right. So, my number 8 is one of the most denounced games on Board Game Geek, and I actively dislike this game, as most Board Game Geek people do. But it's only because of the length. If it was a shorter game, I think I wouldn't mind it.
Can I guess?
Phase
Go
10.
ahead.
No, I bet it's Munchkin.
No, I don't like Munchkin.
It's Phase 10. You want it to be Phase 2.
No, it's Risk.
Oh.
So Risk, and I know that this doesn't bother me as much, because I played Risk Legacy, which does shorten it down a lot. And I like that game much, much better.
Okay.
And I think Risk, the combat system is the combat system. You have to, I don't love the combat system, but if Risk took an hour, I'd play it a lot more. The fact is, there are so many Risk games that go on forever and ever and ever.
Oh my gosh, most.
Not only do they go on forever and ever, but sometimes the last 45 minutes, you could be like, we know who's going to win here.
Right.
But there's always that slight chance somebody will come back.
Yeah.
So you got to finish it to the bitter end.
Yeah, it does a good job of
and the immutable fact there is it just is not a particularly good game.
It just needs a different end game, doesn't it? That's really kind of it.
Yeah, I like the idea of Risk. I mean, I first heard about this game when I was 12. I was 11 or 10. I don't remember. I remember hearing about it and thinking, I'd never heard of it in my life. And they were like, there's armies on the board fighting, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then we played it.
Deep voice as an 11-year-old.
Wow. Okay. I was like, woo.
Other than maybe like some of the Sid Saxon games like Acquire, this is one of the older games that I think is just off of still feeling somewhat current, right? It still does the things that a lot of modern kind of area control games do, but you're right, that end game trigger, it's just too much
got that
stalemate.
old school keep going until someone's fully wiped out
Right.
idea. Like, keep going until someone's completely out of money in Monopoly.
Right.
Just this old, archaic idea of how a game should wrap up.
Yeah.
But like, I come back to what you said earlier, where, you know, I'm not picking on games like Twilight Imperium is not on my list.
Right.
I'll say I don't want to play Twilight Imperium because it's too long, but that's not. I don't think that's a deficit of the game.
That's what the game is trying to do.
Be that
Yes,
long.
right.
There are big games, Fortress America, even Axis and Allies. I feel like those games have an arc. Risk doesn't have an arc. Risk's arc is get in Australia, somehow survive, and then slowly battle your way out till the game's over. And I know games go differently than that, but Risk is so long, it's a joke. It's a joke in Seinfeld.
Yes.
It's a joke on TV. There, we're playing this game all night long. But it would be fine if it was shorter.
It'd be much better if it was shorter, yes.
Well, I don't think I would like Twilight Imperium if it was an hour.
What if it was a roll and write game?
I feel like that's a deceptive trick. I don't think it's possible to have a good 4X space. And I'm just kidding. Let's go on to the next one.
I can understand.
All right, well, here's where I may have painted myself into a corner a little bit. Maybe. You'll have to, neither of you will be kind. Maybe the chat will be kind to me.
Just to be clear, we weren't planning to be kind.
No, of course. My number 7 is a game that the argument you could make is that this is trying to be a big, long game, but this one still drags for me too often, and this is Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition. Yeah, I know. Roy is cracking his knuckles back there. I feel like most of the scenarios in this drag. To me, I wish they were shorter. If they were shorter and punchier, I think I would actually like this game. I'm to the point where I dislike it because I am always ready for the game to be over about 45 minutes before it is.
I think my problem is, if I was to phrase it, I would say this game does not have enough short scenarios.
It does not. Right.
I don't mind that there are some that take 3 hours. If I want to play for 3 hours, that's there.
Yeah.
But this is a scenario-driven game.
Right.
And as they come out with more expansions, more content, downloadable content even, they could offer long scenarios, medium, and short.
Right.
But there's like 1.5 short scenarios. Right? That's the problem.
And maybe I haven't even
like
played
a lot
those.
of Fantasy Flight games, they really tend to err on the side of longer, more, bigger. And we'll see some Fantasy Flight games show up on my list literally from this number on.
Yeah, I feel like this is one.
Fantasy Flight.
We've had some people saying that, oh, this is an overstays its welcome type list, and that's certainly an element of it. This is one that's on the list because to me it overstays its welcome. I like a lot of what it does. I'm into the story for like the first hour, maybe hour and a half, and then I'm ready to let's get on with it already. I don't feel like
I'm not
there's
with you
enough
on
happening.
this one.
I just don't feel like there's enough happening. I feel like it drags.
I agree with you that they should have more shorter scenarios, and I wish they did, and that's one of the reasons I don't play it. But when I do play one of these scenarios, I'm kind of on board from beginning to end. It's pretty involving.
I'm not. I'm usually checked out.
And as we all know, Cthulhu is one of my favorite themes, and I wish there was more of it. But this game does a better job at bringing Cthulhu theme to life than pretty much any other game.
Well, I mean, being app-driven and it certainly helps.
Any other game.
So, no. I can think of another couple of games to do better. But anyway, my number 7, Mansions of Madness, too long.
My number 7, the game, I think, is too long per session, but that's not even really my main issue here. My main issue is leveling up progression in this game is an absolute bear.
Gloomhaven?
Dragonfire.
Oh, jeez.
Dragonfire.
Oh! This is the...
Or
deck building,
before it, the one with the...
What was that called?
Cyberpunk.
The year of Shadowrun.
Cross-run fire. Cross shoot.
Fire.
Fire run.
Fire.
Cross-run shadow fire.
Fire run cross.
What is that game
I don't remember
called?
what it's called, but I know
Shadow
Someone
Hunter
tell us in the
Fire.
comments. Put us out of our misery.
You know what I'm talking about. Crossfire.
I think it's called Shadowrun, Crossfire.
That's the baby.
Crossfire.
That game and this game, which is based on that, are both interesting. These sort of deck building, very cooperative, pretty tight math, sort of games. Very high fantasy in this one. When you win a game, those games are not necessarily short. They're not tremendously long, but they're not short. I'm talking like an hour. you get like half an XP.
He's not kidding.
Yeah.
And then you need 10 to unlock level 1. Then you need 15 XP to unlock level 2.
And it's not like you suddenly start getting more.
You don't need 5 more XP. You need 15 new XP. Okay? You can sell back 1 to get something high. It's just insane. I assume they expected people to play this like for the rest of their lives, and this be the only game they ever played.
I just was like, after the first game, I was like, we all leveled up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's absolutely what you kind of need to do, unless you have a regular group. This is all you play, and you don't mind that incredibly slow grind. Otherwise, just give yourself more XP so you can sticker up your boards, so you can level up, gain new things. It is painfully slow, the leveling up, and therefore the game feels slow.
Right.
Every session you're like, wrap this one up so I can win the 2 XP I get. Even if you lose, I'll get something, right?
I
Let's
don't
just say we
understand
lost.
why board game adventure designers don't understand. People like to level up.
Right.
Even if you're giving me small little level ups.
Give me something.
But because look, I love Gloomhaven, but I'll play a session of Gloomhaven. I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll level up next time. Nope. Then you level up like every 3 or 4, dungeons. But it's exciting.
Yeah.
There's a reason the video games they go up to level 100.
Right.
And you're like, oh, you leveled up again. Oh, you leveled up again. And you're like, oh, now what can I do? And it's exciting.
Right.
Plus, in video games, almost all of them, you level up incredibly fast at the beginning.
Right.
Like you finish a tutorial and they're like, "Brrrring, level 2, and you're like, oh, yes. And then like you slash 2 goblins and they're like, "Brrrring, level 3. Eventually, like in the 60s, it takes a while to go from like level 62 to 63.
But at that point, you have a lot of other tools to mess with.
Right. At that point, there's other things I'm playing with.
Right.
This is not that. It doesn't get any faster, So that's my main issue there. Dragonfire or Shadow Beast Crossface, whatever it is. That one.
All right. Well, mine is a crossover.
Oh.
My number 7.
Come on now.
It's with Mike.
Oh, come on.
Which one is it, Mike?
It is Fury of Dracula.
That's correct.
Oh, you both animals, okay?
Okay, but here again, I like Fury of Dracula.
Which version did you play? Which edition?
I've played all of them, baby.
All right, well, okay.
No, wait, I don't think I played first.
First is the fastest one of them all. They call that one Dracula Express now.
Yeah, well, remember that comment. Anyhow, Fury of Dracula, I like it. And yes, definitely the 3rd/4th because of the same edition.
Yes.
It's faster than the 2nd.
All right.
You played the longest one.
All right.
But even though I played the 3rd and you haven't, apparently you've forgotten, I still think this. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, Fear of Dracula has these occasional reset moments, and I'm like, because Dracula's like, woo, and then we're like, oh, now we have no idea where he is. And you're like starting the game over almost, which I don't like that mechanism at all.
Right.
We either catch him or we don't.
Right.
And then the game is about fighting, and a fight, you fight once in a while.
You fight maybe once in the game.
Right.
And so that fight would be more exciting if it was kind of like the culmination of the game.
Oh my gosh, that fight
and
is
if it took an hour,
opposite of exciting. That is so tedious.
I still like Fear of Dracula. I'd probably give it a 6 or 7. I just would like it more if it was faster. That's all. That's what I'm saying here. I think it's a fine game. It just could be sped up a bit. And I think it would have been, but Fantasy Flight just loves they're adding more stuff to games. The whole sliding the cards with the different things. Yes, it's something that when you read in paper, you're like, wow, that combat is a neat idea. The sliding cards are a neat idea, but it also slows the game down.
Way down.
Not that
I feel
bad.
like they never worry about game length.
I don't think they do. It's not
FFG
even a
just does
consideration.
not seem to care.
Right, or token count either. It's like, how many very small tokens can we throw in this box? Yeah.
All right, anyway, Fury of Dracula.
My number 6 is a Hidden Trader game, potentially. It's a cooperative game, kinda.
Potentially.
It's a zombie game, kinda.
Dead of Winter.
Number 6 is Dead of Winter. Yes.
There's a lot of zombies in the game. I just
There
want
are
to
a
point
lot,
that
but
out.
yeah,
Definitely a zombie game.
Well, it is, but the zombies are. It's not a traditional zombie game, I don't think.
Next, Mike is going to say The Walking Dead is not a zombie show.
It kind of isn't. It's more about the people, right? Just like this is more about the people. It's more
This is about, as far as I remember, cans of beans.
Well, there you got that too. There you got that too.
You're still bitter about the stupid bean
Yeah,
thing.
you're not big on the
Let
beans.
the beans go.
No.
Yeah.
Okay? Those are my beans. Everyone else in the world can die. I'm eating these beans.
Yeah, Dead of Winter is a game
you're
that
destroying
the more I've played it, the further it's kind of dropped. When this first came out, and we had a dedicated group that was into it, it was so great. It was
Really?
also very long, but it was so cool. And as time has gone on, I've started to see cracks showing, and you know, kind of the things that were exciting are no longer exciting, and the dragginess of it is even higher accentuated. And so I don't tend to play. Can't remember the last time I played Dead of Winter. Actually, it still has a little bit of a soft spot in my heart because it was one of the early hobby games that I
Switch
played.
on my short list.
Yeah, but it's just too long for what it is. It's too long, and you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again too. So there's not a lot of dynamism to the game. There's not really much of an arc. You're just kind of doing the same thing over
And then
over
Plaid Hat came out with that insane expansion.
Ridiculous!
Where they were like,
the long night.
You could
very
play,
aptly
You
timed.
can play 2 different groups.
Yes.
Next to each other, and then you're
Yeah, like 2 camps that are. Yeah, I never even
Really?
tried to
I
play
never
it.
messed with that.
like, no.
Yeah.
Does that
it's-
double down on the length?
I don't know.
It's got to make it
longer.
longer.
Try. It has to make
because
it
you're
longer,
communicating with each other.
Right. You have like 2 separate colonies. I
Are
think.
there still beans?
Oh, there's
There's always
beans.
beans.
Make
In
no
both
mistake.
camps?
Yes.
There's beans and there are inebriated mall Santas. You can count on that.
He's only in one of the camps.
That's true. Dead of Winter is my number 6.
All right, my number
I feel
6.
bad for someone who's new to board game coming in and going, what are they talking about?
beans.
Beans and inebriated
Drunk
Santa?
Santa Claus? What? My number 6 is a Fantasy Flight game.
You already told us that.
It's
Spoil
a
it.
Cthulhu game. It's too stinking long.
Oh, I bet I know what it is.
There's a card in there that might reset the game. If I ever see that card again, I'm going to shred it. But I like this game. This is actually a game that has actually grown on me.
Really?
It's Eldritch Horror, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually grown on me. Playing with a smaller player count, playing...
Wait, when have you played this last?
I don't know, it's been a while, but...
Oh. Yeah, playing with a smaller player count is definitely better.
Yeah, it is better because the story is decent. It's got a good flavor to it. Again, sort of a mood thing, an exploration thing. But the first couple of times I played this, I really despised it.
I was there.
It was just too long.
Wait, is it
we were
me?
about we were maybe halfway through or 2/3 of the way through the game and pulled a card that literally says undo the last objective or whatever you completed. You do 3 of them for the entire game.
Yeah, who thinks
it's
that's
about
fun,
3
by the way?
hours.
I don't
terrible.
get that.
You just sent me back an hour. An hour on one card flip.
Yeah.
No.
I might have
okay?
ripped that card up.
Yeah, that card.
That's kind of like, that's the FFG version of skip your next 16 turns.
Right.
Okay? No.
I want to put that card in game.
Yep.
You insane.
Yeah.
So, but other than that specific instance, smaller player count and sort of making it lively with the theme and moving it along, I can enjoy it. It's still too long. And again, FFG does not learn from this stuff. If this game had come out as a follow-up to Arkham,
Right.
that had given you a bigger scope and a smaller time frame, what a triumphant success that would
Do
be.
you remember when it came out? They said,
That's how they
listen,
were billing
this is
it.
going to be more streamlined. We're not
Yes.
going to have that many more expansions.
Yes.
Which was a bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
This was billed as the smaller, quicker, streamlined version.
Not
of-
smaller because it was world
I guess
spanning,
that's
but
true.
more
Yeah,
streamlined.
yeah,
Yes.
and that's not really it. They're about the same length. I mean,
I was thinking about this on Tuesday night at the store. Someone came in and bought all the Mansions of Madness, everything for it.
Wow.
And bought several Eldritch Horror expansions, and I thought, you're not doing all this at once, right? You need to
Yeah, this is going to last
trickle
you a
it
few
in and all.
years.
But Eldritch Horror is a neat game, but yeah, the length is kind of where I want to play games like these that are shorter.
The closest you're going to come to this, I think, is going to be Elder Sign. You know.
Well, no, probably
Elder
the card game. How
Sign
long is
is
the card
still a
game?
long
Card
game.
Card game can be long, 90 minutes, 2 hours.
Yeah, but that's like max. Elder Char is 2 hours minimum usually.
Yeah,
And it's the same
Elder
thing for
Sign
Elder
is
Sign.
actually, again, with a shorter, lower player count is not bad.
Right.
Yeah, but
Elder
it's not
Sign
thematic.
plays
It could still,
7.
It can, yeah, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Come on.
but it's on the box.
I know,
If
I
you
know.
play that at 7,
It's going to be way too
it's going to be 4 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 6 is not Fantasy Flight,
Oh.
but it is Plat Hat, like Mike's was.
Oh, okay.
And this is a game that I think I would have liked more. And there was a couple other things I didn't like about the game. I thought it was too dark, and I thought it was a little too more random. But I think the randomness would have gone away had the game been much shorter. It should have been half the length, and I'd be on board with it. And that's Abomination.
Oh, this is a good pick. Yeah.
Abomination has a cool, dark theme where you are a Frankenstein of sort trying to build your own golem, monster, whatever, and you are going around getting parts. It just takes a really long time. I do this and this and this and this, and oh, I got an arm. Oh, I need 2 arms and 2 legs and the torso. Oh, my word.
The
this game's
arm bone's connected to the torso bone.
and the torso bone connects to the hip
Bean
bone.
can.
The hip bone, the bean can.
Yeah.
Yes, the bean can. I form.
I
Anyhow,
have beans in it.
I think this game, which can go to 4 hours if you're not careful, if they had cut the time in half, this game would be much more popular today. It's pretty popular as it is. This game still gets talked about and played. We have it in our library and people check it out, but it's really long, and I think it would have been even more popular had it just been half the length. And it almost feels like, as you did it, like just double what I got here. Just the time could have been cut.
The
on
designer has
Abomination.
posted an official shorter game variant for this.
Yeah, which
Which
is
is
a
like
huge telltale
affirmation,
sign.
baby.
It's like a
Yes.
huge telltale sign. That, like,
100%.
you knew.
Yep.
You know what you did, okay? Just next time, do it the first time. I am not... On the one hand, I'm like, okay, cool, thanks for providing such a thing. On the other hand, I'm like, you knew that this was too long.
Right.
Then why wait? Just put that out. Don't wait for people to confirm something you suspected. There's no way you were surprised that most people were like, oh, 4 hours is too long for this. Really? That didn't cross your mind? Man, I need some beans to come back.
All right.
There's no beans in this studio. Is there?
Probably.
Oh.
My number 5 is my newest game on the list. It is very recent, and it's a game that neither you nor Zee like. I like it, but I really wish it was significantly shorter. This is Wild Serengeti. This is a beautiful looking game.
Interesting choice.
Where you are placing you're playing as a videographer, a nature videographer, and you're trying to get particular layouts of animals, and essentially you're just moving them on this gridded board.
You're moving animals around unnaturally.
Moving around, well, no, you're putting meat out and trying to get them to come to the meat.
So you're ruining the habitat.
Well, look, let's not get caught up in the details. Beautiful game, and I like mechanically what it's doing. I know you're not big on these types of games, but it works for me other than it is too long. I feel like it could have been, for a game of this weight, because it's a relatively lightweight
You're right.
game.
Half the length.
It should have been literally half the length. I
Yes.
think it goes 6 days. It should be 3 days.
You played this for 6 days?
I believe, well, I think the round, 6 rounds maybe. I don't know if the rounds are days. They may be, but it just goes on too long. You could get the same experience in half the time, and that's what they should have done. I really, really, to the extent that I want to continue playing it, I own it, I'm going to keep it, I'm probably going to come up with some way. It would not be hard to do some house ruling.
I think I might test a 4-round game.
Maybe 4 rounds would
Just start in
right.
on the 3rd day.
Right.
Skip those first 2 days because who cares?
Yeah.
And then just go from there.
The only thing is that you probably wouldn't want to clear the board after that first round, maybe after the 2nd round.
That's true. It does take a while to seed the board up, but you
Yeah.
could just. Well, you'll figure it out. It's your problem.
That's it. The solo game, you start with animals on the
doing your
board.
work for
Maybe
you.
you can do it that way. Start the game with some animals seated on the board. That's the way the solo game works anyway. So anyway,
Or you
yeah.
could sell it.
No, it's a good game. It's just too long.
You didn't like it, right?
This is a game I really do like quite a bit, and so
Well,
I'm gonna
I
keep
think I would like it more if it was shorter.
Yes,
for
100%,
sure.
100%.
There's still other problems with the game, but yes.
Yeah. All right. There's my number 5, Wild Serengeti.
My number 5 is a bit of a strange pick, but when I saw it come across my
Is it Fantasy
screen,
Flight?
it's not.
Oh,
This is an old
Uncharted territory.
I think Cosmos put this out, and it's an old Stefan Feld game that very few people, I think, know or
Is it
have
a two-player
heard of.
game?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Hang on. Stefan Feld. Cosmos, you said?
I think it's in Cosmos, yes.
Old Stefan.
And it's in their literature line. Like Pillars of the Earth and all of those games. So it's based on literature.
What was that game called? That's not a two-player game?
No. It's a deduction game. Sort of, kind of. Thematically, at least.
Oh.
It's a game called The Name of the Rose.
Oh, okay. The Umberto Eco game.
I never played this.
Yeah, The Name of the Rose.
But I mean, that cover makes me want to. Is that my uncle?
That is, yes.
He's part of a lodge.
Those are not the abbots you're looking for. This is an interesting, if again, very point salad-y, mechanical movement game.
Everything about this game is just drawing me to play it.
I really liked this game. This is an interesting game with positioning the characters, moving them around, trying to move around suspicion using these characters from one place to another one. This is a neat game. Very well made. Completely different from the usual Feld offerings. It's just too long. And this is a known issue with this game. Most people's complaints with this game are neat, solid, it's too long. And I wish this would come back. Stefan Feld, I know, doesn't really do as much sort of return to the source as like Knizia would do.
No.
But I would love to see this game come back into print, reworked, tightened up a little bit. Because it really does different, unique things.
What they need to do is they need to name it after a city like Poughkeepsie, and then Queen
That
can
would
put it
do
out.
it. Where in Poughkeepsie is Carmen Sandiego's abbot?
And Poughkeepsie. Okay.
I haven't
That
played
is
this
my
one.
number 5. Yeah, I thought you guys. This is very little known.
I was thinking of the Builder's Duel one.
And I was
Is that
thinking
him too?
Cosmos. This is Ravensburger, so I got that wrong
Builder's
too.
Duel's not too long, though.
Builder's
Yeah, I didn't
Duel is.
Use the clues.
I haven't played
Yeah,
it.
Builder's Duel is the 2-player version of
Pillars, right?
Pillars.
Yeah.
It's not bad. All right. My number 5 is the oldest game on anyone's list. It's a game I absolutely despise.
Go.
But I would like it if it was shorter. And I'm talking, I think I would like it if it was 15 to 20% of the current length. And I think it could be done.
It's an old game.
It averages around 7 hours to play.
Oh.
7 ages.
You're not talking about diplomacy.
I am talking about diplomacy.
Wow.
I hate diplomacy,
Okay.
but guaranteed, I would not. My dislike of it is, I don't want to play a 7-hour game with all that tenseness that this
Yeah.
kind of game brings. I can handle a tense game where we're all stabbing each other in the back for an hour and a half. For 7 hours, it's too long.
Yeah.
Also,
Oof.
if you're friends for like if you've ever watched the show Survivor, and you see those people get really mad when someone betrays them, and you go, but it's just a game because you watched it for 45 minutes. They've been there for days.
Yeah.
And the longer you are and you get betrayed, it really bothers you.
Yeah. But you know what else? What other game is too long at 7 hours? All of them,
Everyone.
okay, are too long at 7 hours.
See, but I would put Twilight Imperium on this list
no,
because
I agree.
that game, you're having fun the whole time. Diplomacy, you could be in really boring positions for hours.
And that's the thing. And Twilight Imperium is designed to be that length of game. Like, you are actively involved.
Well, this one's kind of designed to be the length of the game because turns are 15 minutes long.
I guess, but oof.
Because it's 15 minutes of everyone going around talking, and then you write everything on paper, you reveal it, you do all the orders, and then 15 more minutes. The first turn is 30 minutes long.
A turn, the first turn.
Yes.
Could you do some sort of Diplomacy Express where you have a sand timer, perhaps?
Well,
It's
I
like-
think so. And I'm saying I think I would like diplomacy. I think the concept is neat. Everyone starts in different positions. The talking and working to each other. It's just too long. The length, it could have been done. And I know this because I like these styles of games.
One night ultimate diplomacy. Just the first round.
Could you play this game?
It's werewolf diplomacy.
Could you play
10
this
bucks, I
game
already got
and
it.
not betray somebody? Is it possible to play this game where you tell the truth and you honor every bargain you
Yes,
make?
but it's still, you can tell the truth, but at some point you're going to go, I'm attacking you now.
Okay.
You can tell the truth,
Yeah.
but I mean, it is a one person winning. I mean, I guess there's things where two people can win or whatever, but
Yeah.
you're going to eliminate everybody.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, at some point, if you come to me and say, hey, worked out, I'm going to have to be like, sorry, Mike, I'm about to stomp on you.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily feel good.
No.
So,
Oof.
Yeah.
but I would like it other than that. Diplomacy.
My number 4 is a game that I like a whole lot. It's in my top 100. It's actually in my top 50. The one beef I have with it is that it feels too long. To the extent that, much like Abomination, the designer has come out and said, all right, well, if you feel the game is too long, here's a way to shorten it up.
I'm trying to think, how many games has this been done to? Is it Awaken Realms?
It is not. It's a...
Because Awaken Realms has done that for almost all their
Ryan
games.
Lockett?
It is not a Ryan Lockett game.
Good guess.
It is a Colossal / Madigo or Asmodee game. It's a designer that's known for small games. This is his only big game.
Mezzo.
This is Mezzo, yeah.
I was about to say the Heroes of Air, Land, and Sea, because that's also a designer who only does small games.
That's true, yeah. So Mezzo is a game that I love. I mean, I really, really, really love this game.
You think it's too long?
It is too long. It is too long.
There's a variant that's shorter?
There is. John Cloudis has come up with a way to basically... This is one of those games where the first kind of third of the game is just ramping up. It's almost like a pre-game. And he's like, okay, just start with this and just get to it.
Okay.
And that does help. I still tend to play the game as it was written in the rule book, just because that's what I'm more familiar with, what I'm more comfortable with. But it does feel a little long, and I do wish that it kind of got going quicker. So maybe I will try that designer kind of variant at some point. I haven't yet.
Almost always will try a designer variant that makes a game faster.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I go, that it happens, but very rarely do I go, the game's over, I wish it was longer. I almost never think that.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes some games are too short.
Sure,
Right,
but
yeah,
that's why I
yeah.
said almost never.
But it's rare that the designer would then, as a response, put out a
Right.
variant or something
Yeah.
that was already too short or makes it too short.
Right.
How long is this game? It's been so long.
Well, it depends on player count for sure. But
Say
you
with
can,
12 people.
Yeah, you can't play 12. But
What
I
is
think,
max in this game? 5?
if we with an expansion, the box is 4. You can get a 5th player.
So the
expansion.
max is 4.
The max is 4.
Vassals
yeah,
Law number 2
don't
says
play with 5.
expansions that add more players, always a bad idea.
Yeah,
except
yeah. I mean, it
Cosmic
could
Encounter.
go over 3 hours, and it shouldn't, because it's a snappier game than that. It's also a very, very smart game that does some really neat things in this space of kind of troops on a map. It doesn't feel like every one of those games, and
Right.
so I still love the game. My only beef, the reason why it's so high, is that I would have really almost nothing bad to say about the game other than a few little component issues if it weren't for the length.
Right.
That's the only thing. When someone asks, you want to play, can you teach me Mezzo? Yes. Do you have a couple hours? That kind of a thing. So that's why it's on my list.
All right. Top 4 here. I've got 4 games left. 2 of them are from Fantasy Flight Games. This one certainly is.
You should have just put Fantasy Flight as your number 1. Mm-hmm. The
The
logo of the company.
Just the company. Wrap it up, FFG.
This company has gone on too long.
Right.
Like, wait a minute, what are you saying?
All right, so my number 4 is Fallout. Fallout is...
I just talked about Fallout.
Really,
Big
I
game.
would not have considered this one.
Fallout is a really solid, interesting design, with the main cleverness coming out of it being that sort of that deck of cards that tells you the story
Yeah.
and will advance this way or that based on what's happening. And something they lifted wholesale and put in Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. It's a great bit of design. Really works well. Tells a great story. It just is too long. And unfortunately in this game, that issue is compounded, because in this one there are these sort of 2 factions vying for control. You know, the Academy and the Autonomous, or whatever they're called. I don't remember. There's 2 groups, and you are sort of backing one group or the other one. For how long this game is, and you're looking at like 3 hours, the switching of those 2 and who's in the lead is just too volatile. You could play thinking you are doing just fine. 2 hours and 40 minutes, and then it flip-flops on you the last 20 minutes of the game. And you just the floor was wiped with you. So that doesn't work out. Now, I know they put out an expansion that tried to fix that. They put out another expansion that made it cooperative because it was not, and that was a big deal with people, big problem. But if the original one with that weird endgame system was just shorter, it wouldn't have been a problem. I would have loved this game had 1 hour with the same stuff that's going on, moving around, leveling up, fighting these dudes, neat dice system in it, great story, like I said. It just goes on and does the same thing. Again, FFG seems unperturbed by length. They just don't care.
I will take that football from you.
Go ahead, baby. Run that
my
baton.
number 4.
Yes.
Okay.
Still a fantasy fight.
Sure.
In fact, you just edited a video where I talked about this game. This game, I love the game. Everything about it except for length. And the length actually made me not want to play it. They came out with a 3rd edition, which was done by a different designer and completely changed the game. I think I like 2nd edition better. It's just too long. And that's Runebound. This is from Martin Wallace, of all people.
I definitely did not do a video with this.
Oh, Roy did. Roy did. Sorry.
I'm like, okay, I don't remember this one. This is a Wallace game?
Yes.
Really? I did not know that. Interesting.
Yeah, I know. That's no one ever mentions this one. It's
Yeah.
like, I just knew. This game, it's an adventure game. You're moving around, you're collecting allies, you're collecting weapons, and you fight enemies. First you fight small ones, then you level up, you get some more good stuff, you fight the harder ones, and you eventually fight the Dragon Lords. There's some big Dragon Lords around. You find the big bad Dragon Lord, he's hidden somewhere. You fight him, you beat him, you win.
Okay.
It's very fun. They have lots of expansion packs. You can switch in different enemies that you fight. Instead of Dragon Lords, you fight something else. I love it. It just takes too long.
Wow.
I mean, again, this is a classic early aughts fantasy flight. This was all their games at this point in time.
Yes, correct.
I mean, you could say Descent. You could say any of these games, right?
Sure.
But Runebound particularly I found egregious because I like the game so much. It's fun to level up. It's fun to get an ally. It's fun to get coins and buy weapons. But you just kind of like, there's this one mechanism where you roll a bunch of dice that show terrain. And then you pick those, that's how you move on the board. So I roll 2 trees, a water, and a plane. Okay, so I can move here.
Oh, so that sounds like the Lost City Konichia's game. What's that called?
The Quest for El Dorado?
It sounds like Quest for El Dorado, the dice game.
Yeah, so it's
In fact, that's probably happening now.
Let's
If you're watching Konnichiwa, you better mention me in the design credits.
also 1% for the dice tower.
I'll take it.
No, you get half of that percent.
I'll take that too.
But that's a cool moving concept.
Yeah.
But also slows the game down because someone goes, okay, I can move here. I'm like, just roll die then.
Right.
I mean, or just say you have 4 movement points.
Sure.
Yep.
Something. They could have streamlined so many parts of it, and then they really streamlined the 3rd edition, but they also changed it from you were flipping tokens.
I remember that.
That I remember. Yeah, I remember I didn't play it, but I remember hearing about it.
And it was fine, but this was the one I love. It's too long, and that so discourages me because
Yeah.
I think this would be in my top 100 otherwise.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
So Runebound 2nd edition.
Interesting. All right, my number 3 is a game that I do like quite a bit. It is
His number 1.
no. It is billed as, at this point, it's billed as a multiplayer game, but this is not. This is purely a solo game, and I will staunchly say that. My number 3 is Nemo's War. I really like Nemo's War. It does a lot of cool things, but it does a lot of cool things for a very long time. Actually, if it did a lot of cool things for a very long time, it would be okay, I guess. But you're rolling dice. You're doing checks. You're doing check after check after check after check. And yeah, there's little story elements. There's not much of a story really. There's some cool stuff, but I've gotten to the point where I just don't pull this out anymore. I had it. I got rid of it. I considered getting it back, and I'm like, do I really want to sit through and play this again for another 3 hours? I don't think I do. It's just too long.
I get
It
that.
is just too long.
You know, I didn't put any. I don't think I did. Let me just double check. Yeah, I didn't put any really solo games on my list because I don't mind them being longer. I can set it up and leave the table and come back.
I typically don't.
So those Awakened Realm games like Tainted Grail and all that, they're really long. But I got the time.
To be clear, I've played many, many, many games of Nemo's War, and it was in my collection for years. I mean, it was one of my top solo games. I still think it's a good design. I'm not saying it's a bad design. I'm just saying that at this point, I think it just is too long for me. I mean, I don't want to keep coming back because it doesn't change enough from game to game. You could change the what do they call it?
His motive.
The motive. You can change the motive, and sure, that's going to change some things. It's going to change kind of the scoring, but you're still
They can
rolling.
make it slightly shorter.
It can,
maybe
yeah.
not. Maybe it just moves where those cards are
It changes.
shuffled in.
It'll change where some triggers are and things like that. But it's going to be a long game. And you're right. You can go away and come back to it, and so maybe it's not as much of an issue. But I tended to play Nemo's War in a one discrete session. I wouldn't go away and come back to it. So.
And it is
Whatever. That's not the right word.
He's behind a curtain.
One.
What are you doing, honey? Don't come in here.
Whatever.
I'm playing Nemo's War.
The wrong word. I can't remember what word I'm trying to think
Distinct?
of. Distinct, maybe. I don't know.
No, it's discreet.
I need one of those calendars that give me the fancy supercilious words. Anyway, Nemo's War is a good game, but I
It
just
only
feel like
works
it's too long.
if you remember what they mean and don't
think-
write down a list of them and then forget half the definitions.
For me, not to be a hipster, but this game for me is kind of a mood.
Yeah,
I have to
be in that mood.
be in that mood. It is its own thing. It is long. It is pretty much different from everything in my collection. And,
Right.
and if and when I want to play this, I'm okay with that game length.
Yeah.
But I don't always want to play this because it's long and has a lot of moving parts and a lot of rules, and it feels sort of war game adjacent.
It does.
In some ways.
It does.
So I
Yeah.
have to be in that mood.
Yeah.
All right, my number, where are we at? Three. My number 3 is a game that
Fantasy
is
Flight.
solely, it's not Fantasy Flight. This is solely on here because when I play at 2 players, I have no issue with this game whatsoever. And if I play at 3, which I've done once or twice, never again. And if I play at 4, which I've never done because each player adds like 30 minutes, I would have a serious problem with this game.
Each player has 30 minutes.
Each player is like 30 extra minutes.
Oof.
And this game should not be a 2.5 hour game. It needs to be an hour. Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark is too
At higher player counts. you're right.
long.
I considered this for my list, and I was like, nah, even if it was shorter, I think I still wouldn't
I
like
really
it.
like this game.
I
I think
like it
it's a
at 1 or 2.
solid hand building, racing kind of game in which you're making your way down the river, over the mountains, basically
And through the woods, to grandmother's house.
getting to the other coast. I like what's happening in this game. It's very attractive. It's got some interesting combo building going on in it. But man, does it not scale well. And the only reason it does not scale well is time. There's nothing mechanically that makes it not scale well. It just takes that much longer for that player to do every one of their turns. This could have been solved very easily. I mean, you could have us traverse fewer spaces. That would do it. Something else, I don't know. But it just drags on and on and on and on. And by two-thirds of the way through, before I even hit those mountains, I'm like, just drag me into the river and drown me. I don't care anymore who wins.
And why it's even more egregious, I think, is that it's a race game at heart. It's a hand management game, but it is technically a race game.
That
and
is
race
how you
games
win, yes.
should feel like a race game, and
Yeah.
it does not.
Yeah.
Do you like the dice version?
The dice version, I think, is nice.
Yeah.
I like the dice
I
version.
do too. It's much shorter.
I like this one more as a game.
Yeah,
The other one is
mechanically,
much shorter, though.
it is, yes.
So yeah, if this scaled better across the player counts, I would like it a lot more. As it is at 2, I think is a solid game. I just in my head consider it a 2-player game and walk away. So that's my 3.
All right, I feel a little bad because my number 3. I've been beating up on in several of my past top 10 lists over the past couple of years.
Oh, that's mean.
Although it used to be one of my favorite games of all time. Since we're talking about time, this has time in the title.
Yeah.
And this one is Time
Pirates.
Stories.
Oh.
Time Pirates actually is a little longer than it should be. But specifically, where this came into mind is the Brotherhood of the Coast.
Is this the one?
This is the pirate one.
This is the one where we had we were on a ship, a pirate ship,
And we went, we
We're
fought
supposed to fight a ship, and we
died.
lost.
And then we just went, we're back here again. We're fighting it again because we would have done everything the exact same way.
Right, and there was no other ship you get or nothing, right?
And
I don't
looking back
remember.
at this, there should have been a way for them to do that. There should have been a way for them to say, if you're going to make all the same choices, nothing different,
Right.
come back here and take this many time units. That should have been in the game. You shouldn't, because again, that's how the movies work.
Right.
When you watch Groundhog Day, you watch his whole first day. Even then, you don't see the whole first day.
Sure.
You see
Right.
20 minutes of it. Then the second time, they show you 10 minutes, then 5, and pretty soon they're showing you a second at a time. But in Time Stories, you got to go back and do it all again.
Yeah.
I agree that this system would have, the first time was incredible because it was really doing something you hadn't seen
Sure.
before. And they were keeping those loops to like 3 or 4 for the whole game. This one, the one where we were traversing the desert, and you couldn't go back to the beginning in that one actually. So it sort of reset the story from when we were already in the desert. And we're in there and realize we don't have the equipment to fight these Magi. We're stuck here.
How did we get through that? Did we pretend to go
We probably
back?
pretended. I don't know. It's just a sort of, it locks you into these loops that you need to keep going.
So this one, we had some problems with Time Stories. I was going to put the final one, the Madam,
Oh, yeah.
because that one did this loop
French-
thing ad
French
nauseum.
themed one, yeah.
But my problem with that one is the whole drink your Ovaltine thing.
Yeah.
I am still actively angry about that years laI'm getting mad just thinking about it. Okay, get back to the other part. The time. The time is just, it's wasted time. You are literally like, let's do that again.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder what's behind this card. Oh, okay. And that's just, you're wasting my time then as a player. I don't know. I just feel like they could have sorted down. And the pirate one was one where it just came into focus. We're like, why are we doing this? And I remember I said, let's go back. And you and Sam were like, I don't know. It feels kind of like cheating, but we don't want to do all that stuff again.
Right.
We would have done everything the same way. And it was like a 20-minute, 25-minute thing.
That's not good.
You just pretend and go right from there, yeah. Which breaks the immersion, right? It means
Sure,
you're
yeah,
not really
exactly.
doing it anymore. You're
Right.
just sort of
Going through the motions.
bumbling along now.
So anyway, that's my number 3. Time Stories with the Brotherhood of the Coast.
All right, my number 2 is a game that I like quite a bit, but it has a similar situation that you have with Lewis and Clark in that this is a player count thing for me. Well, I think it's also just part of the design. More players are going to add more time to the game. I will not play this if I can help it at more than 2. I'll play it at 1 or 2. This is an Uwe Rosenberg game.
Ooh. Well, it's not one of his new big ones.
Kind of is one of his newer big ones, yeah.
Caverna?
A Feast for Odin.
No, Feast for Odin's fine with 3 or 4.
Are you out of your mind?
Oh,
I am not out of
Are
my
you
mind.
out of your mind?
No!
I played a 4-player game of Feast for Odin that took over 4 hours.
That's a player problem.
So many times we talk about this game and you complain about the number of choices in it. Now you're saying it's a player problem?
No, I warn people. I love the number of choices in it.
Tom,
Mike, this is one of my favorite games.
I love this game, Tom. It's too long beyond 2 players.
I love it too, guys.
It's too long.
I want to reveal that here today.
This is
love feasting on Odin.
Yeah. This is too long beyond 2 players. I really like this game a lot. I think this is my favorite Uwe game, but it's too long when you get beyond 2 players. It is.
I don't agree.
Well, you can be wrong, but it's way too long. This is something that the more players you add, the more time you add, and the downtime between your turn and your next turn is immense.
What are you? It's a worker placement. Boom, done.
Let me see how I'm going to place this on my board. Oh, I need to get this. I need to get my
No, as soon as you start placing your board, it's the next person's turn.
No, because you need to figure out. Well, if I go here, then I can get this piece. I haven't put my piece down yet. Come
Again,
on now.
player problem.
No one's going to do. People are always going to try to. In a game like this, an efficiency puzzle game like this, people want to be as efficient as they can, but they're going to take forever to be efficient. It's a long game. It's a good game, a really good game. It's too long. Too long. You know, look, you're never going to agree with me. I don't care. It's too long. My number 2, Feast for Odin.
Are you done with that fried Odin leg you've been feasting on over there?
Tastes like Valhalla. All right, my number 2 is my final pick from Fantasy Flight Games.
Woo!
This is a pretty recent game. Very recent. You had a shot, FFG. You had a shot to fix.
A recent game?
Yeah, they had a shot with this one to fix a lot of those things I've been dragging them through the mud for. And you messed it up again.
Wait, do we have the same number 2?
Are you kidding me?
We do have the same number 2.
Unfathomable.
We almost have the same number 2.
Oh.
Okay, it's the same thing. Yeah, well, we
Okay.
can talk about it. But, I mean, that one, yes, but it's old. His is
I should have put Unfathomable.
Battlestar Galactica. Is what
Shut up! Stop
He's
spoiling
going to
it!
say Battlestar Galactica. Let me time jump. Battlestar Galactica. Unfathomable is a reworking of that, which came out, what, 2 years ago? A year ago? Not that long ago.
You're right, though. This is actively irritating.
It's worse because it's newer, and you guys know that a shorter game, I think, like one of the complaints, I should say, about Battlestar Galactica, there were a couple. There's not that many. It's a robust game. But one of them is, this could be a little tighter, especially now when there are this many more social deduction games that have proven you can do this in a shorter time frame and retain your tension, your interest. Are we going to do that? Are we going to trim a little fat off? No. We're going to leave all the fat on that turkey leg, much like a feast for Odin. This one, that aspect of it, and I like this better than Battlestar, because I like this theme better, disappointed me in that aspect really alone. They could have trimmed a little bit off, and it's like they don't care, or they chose not to. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Make it a little tighter. I don't need it to be a svelte 45 minutes, but I'll take 2 hours instead of 3.
I can't believe I didn't think of this at all.
You messed up.
My
big
number 2 is
time.
Battlestar Galactica, but they're
the same system.
They're the same game, and I know every time I mention this, there's people who love Battlestar Galactica, and you know what? I have loved many games of it. They were fun, but with all the social deduction games out, and I'm not including Battlestar Galactica Express, which was remade as Dark Moon, which is not that good. Thank you.
No, yeah, it's not.
I just like the shorter idea of the deduction games, and Battlestar Galactica is good, but it's not. It's just too long. It's especially egregiously long if you're in prison.
Well, can you play this game in prison, Tom? I mean, I don't know. I mean, put a file in there at least.
Or what's it called? It's not called prison. The brig.
The brig.
If you're in the brig.
Oh, you mean in the game?
The game is especially long.
Yeah.
And I feel like they could have shortened it up. So each expansion, what do you think they did? They were like, let's make it longer. Did you like this episode on Battlestar Galactica? We're going to make that a whole section that we add onto the game. It's like, what? And the expansions wildly got out of control.
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica, to the point where a lot of people I know play it pretty much straight. They might add a few things from the first expansion, Exodus, and everything after that, we're just like, never happened.
Pegasus.
Sorry.
Pegasus ship is cool, and then pretty much everything else after that was just extra
Stuff.
fat. Again, it's just like, no, we don't need more.
But Zee's right. Unfathomable, I was like, ooh, here's their chance to streamline it. I just don't think they care anymore.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
you know what? I get on one level, other than Dead of Winter, there are not many huge deduction games, social deduction games. They're mostly smaller.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a giant box that you open up and pretend it's a big game.
No.
But I mean, they're mostly small games, so I can see that some people look for this. But I have the same thing about this as I have about diplomacy. When I play something like Battlestar Galactica, I get all stressed, and I'm in there, and the longer the game gets, when I'm done, I feel exhausted. I feel like a shorter one, I'm done. I'm like, okay, now let's do something else.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Again, 2 hours, 90 minutes.
Right.
Isn't short. That's not a tiny little filler.
No.
You know? You can pack the momentum a little tighter if you go from 3 hours to 2. And keep your highs and lows, keep your energy, you know? Just make it more cinematic.
all right, I thought you would argue with me on this one.
No.
All right. Anyway, Battlestar Galactica, my number 2.
My number one
being
is
thematic.
number one because A, it's the first game I thought of when you mentioned this list, and B, it's the game that I think would jump higher in my estimation if it was a third, maybe half of the length. It's a boss battler. It's a new game. This is Townsfolk Tussle.
Ooh, interesting choice.
I really like this game, but I feel like it needs to be shorter.
This is actually one of the easiest ones. If you really want to, you
And
just say
I
we're
think-
playing half the game.
And I think you need to, because you play through a series of bosses until you get to the big boss. And it's really clever mechanically. Even the way that you progress from one to the next is cool. And they've got kind of like a town phase in between where you can get new items and things along those lines. And they have a leveling where the bosses get a little bit more tough and different things. So all of it mechanically is very cool, but it's just too long. It is just too long.
A game of this? Are you calling that?
It's
like the 3 people and then a boss?
Yeah, it's four.
It's four bosses.
Four bosses
but
in a row.
The game is not a campaign game. You're not meant to play one boss, put the game away, and come back and play the second.
Right.
You're
So-
meant to play it back to back to back to back.
That is the game.
That is the game, and it's too long. It
Right,
should be.
right.
It should be what? Maybe two bosses, and then the big bad.
Three is slightly longer than I would want.
Yeah, it's still a little
but
bit longer.
it's fine. 4 is too long.
Yeah.
2, you might feel a little. You know what though? I have played just one. I've been like,
Yeah.
hey, let's just play one, and we played it. We're like, that
It's
was
still fun.
We're done.
It is still fun, but it's not the game as it's presented in the box.
No, I get it.
Because you do get extra stuff to the
You
for the
do,
next fight. So
absolutely
there
you
is
do.
there is an arc there.
There is an arc, and again, the way that the bosses kind of interact with things changes from level
Right.
to level. So,
Right.
really neat game, does some very cool stuff, but it is too long. It's significantly too long, and yeah, maybe we should work on some type of a variant for it.
But I really think you really could. I think there might even be some rules in there to take
Maybe.
out some cards and
Yeah,
hand
we'll
them.
take a look,
You know,
but-
give out some extra cards. I've said when I played with my kids one time, I was like, here's how much money I think we would have got the first scenario.
Yeah.
We're starting right on the second boss.
Sure, you can
And
do
you're
that.
fine.
You can
You're-
do that.
Very distracted by your bangs right now. Like
tell you-
really distracted.
I'll tell you what, though. If it rains, this is the hat to wear. The rain ain't touching me or the people next to me.
You're too close.
Or the
You're
people
standing
in
too
the- in the
close,
zip code,
If
either.
that's the case.
My number one was Townsfolk Tussle.
Hey, man, if
number one-
Oddjob had this hat, he would be taking people out by the torso.
If who had it?
Oddjob, the guy from James
Yes,
Bond.
yes. You look like
He'd also have a head that
you
was
look
as heavy
like the
from-
guy from Mortal Kombat who throws his hat. eh?
Kane? Is that what it was?
No,
Kang? It wasn't Kang?
It was
It's Liu Kang and the other guy. Liu Kang.
Ryu.
No, Ryu is that's Raiden. Never mind.
Raiden.
Liu Kang.
It wasn't Get Over Here.
I don't remember. Somebody will tell me. My number one. I have a similar problem with what you're saying with Townsfolk Tussle. The difference being, in Townsfolk Tussle, you do have punctuated sort of chapter breaks, if you
Sure,
want to call it that.
very much.
So you do have a place where if you wanted to stop, would feel like a natural stopping place.
That's true.
I think this game does not, even though there is a save system, which is garbage. You guys were talking about how you weren't including this. I am including it. It's my number one. The Seventh Continent.
Oh,
Okay? Nah, son.
I don't even like the game.
Are you kidding? This game might take 7 hours, 8 hours, 10? I don't know. I mean, just keep going.
yeah.
And going and going, and eventually you, die, possibly. 8 hours into a cooperative game. No, and you're telling me if I want to play that curse again, or a scenario, I got to start again from the beginning? Yes, I can kind of go in a different way, but there are wrong choices. Mm-hmm. So eventually I'll have to do a bunch of the same stuff again. That is too long. And this is not a game you can just pick up and come back to. Not elegantly. I do not like the save system in this game.
I thought I liked the save system. I tried it once, and I was like, you know what? Next time we're just playing straight through.
Yeah.
I hate the save system. You literally, for the sake of packing it up easily, reset the map.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if that was true in, say, like, video game? Like, if you're playing Legend of Zelda, You save. When you come back, there's fog of war everywhere around you except where you're standing.
I would hate that a lot.
You'd have to discover everything again. You'd be like, I think the horse farm was kind of that way. Let me start walking that way. Oh, look, it's a giant. Blop. Are there giants in there? I don't know.
Come back to, yes.
Seventh Continent is too long.
I like Seventh Continent.
I didn't even consider it for
And
this
I didn't
list.
put it on my list because I have fun that whole long period of time. I really do.
I do not.
It's too long. It's too long. I want shorter curses. I don't care if I'm getting less content or whatever. I don't understand this fascination with this game you can play for 300 hours. I won't, okay? Most people won't. It's meaningless if I'm not going to consume it. Okay? This cake is 3 stories tall. It doesn't matter. I'm still only eating a piece of
that's
cake.
That's a bad analogy, Z.
You're going to eat a 3-story cake?
100%. There we go.
well,
I'll
you
bring
know
Tom
what?
along. That cake will be toast. Well, it'll be gone. That's a bad
Wait.
It's another bad
That's a bad
toast cake. Ooh, toast cake.
All right, Tom, what's your
I
number
think he
one?
just said I'll
What
bring
is-
it top. The cake will be gone. Thanks, Mike.
I'm saying you and I were shaking hands. You agreed with me. We'll
I
both
did.
eat the three-layer
He's
cake.
force-feeding you 3 stories of cake.
I hear this. All right. My number one would be probably in my top 20 games of all time or so.
But it
If
uses an app.
if it was shorter.
Guessing, right? No?
It should be the length of an Uwe Rosenberg game, which are not that long. But it feels like an Uwe Rosenberg, but it's way too long. I love it other than that, and that's the Colonists.
Oh,
This one's
man.
a really big deal for me because I love this game, and it is straight too long. And I can't think of any way to shorten it.
This is weird, though, because isn't this designed to be like 3 distinct ages or
Four
something?
distinct ages, and they added a 5th for lunatics
Are you
in
meant
some
to
expansion.
play it straight through?
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
And that's the problem. And here's the thing. I would say, well, skip the firsts. You need them to build up. And it really is, it's more interesting each age because there's more things at it.
Yeah.
It feels like a Rosenberg game where there's
It looks
buildings
like a
out there and you're
Rosenberg
using, it's made by
Yeah,
Mayfair
Mayfair.
/ Lookout. And it's such a cool game. And that map, I know that, but I like all those different buildings, do all different things. And it's so awesome. But it is a minimum of 4 hours. It's just too long, and I don't want to do that every time.
Yeah.
And I can't cut out the 4th age because then you miss. In the book they're like, we could just play a few ages, but then they're like, the book says you could play fewer ages, but you're kind of missing out on the progression, and you are.
Yeah.
It's not like it's the same thing the whole time. It does get better,
Yeah. That's too
but
long.
it's too long. This is such a good game.
So you still want him to keep the 4 ages, just truncate each one?
I don't know how. They should probably get rid of the first age and just give you more resources and stuff, or
start
build a pre-built
stronger.
map or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix it. That's why it's my number one, because this one frustrates me.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you catch me in the right mood at a con or somewhere, I might even play it, if I have the 4 hours to spare, because I like it that much. But when I
So
played initially,
long.
I said it was a 6, because the time of the length of the game did not equal the fun I had.
Sure.
Oh, but it could have.
That's
it's
a
just
bummer.
a lot of fun. All right, before we get to the people's choice, I do want to mention, several people mentioned various games like Terraforming Mars and other games that I've had horribly long sessions of, but I didn't include any game that was horrible because of a player. Because players can ruin almost any game.
Yeah.
And any game that gives you... We talk about them. That's almost a different list, like games with the option of analysis paralysis.
Sure, it is a different.
Those are huge. But like when Z mentioned Eldritch Horror, it don't matter if you're fast. It's still going to be long.
Right.
Just because of the way the nature of the game is. And so that's why my daughter one time played a game of Terraforming Mars with a guy who played with all his cards face down. And every time it was his turn, he would pick one card up and look at it, and he would do this with all his cards.
No.
Yeah, and then so that game took like 4 hours. But I don't think it's the game's fault.
No.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
Very confident it's not. All right, let's see what the people voted for. Here we go, number 10 through 6.
I'm betting there's going to be a lot of older
Eldritch
games.
Horror.
Bam!
Catan.
What?
You know
guess.
what? Some people say Catan is long because of the
The trading
especially
is...
if they play with 5 or 6.
Yeah,
It's in the
that's on
expansion.
you.
Don't do it.
That's
Right.
Tom's second rule of thermodynamics.
Tom, that's your number 1 game up there, number 8.
Arc Nova. I don't think it's too long, frankly. I know it's long, but I'm enjoying it the whole time.
That's
but
my number 11 for sure.
Arc Nova. Okay.
It's
7. Gloomhaven. I think Gloomhaven's built to be long, so
Yeah, I didn't really consider Gloomhaven. It also is a campaign game.
yeah. 6 is Risk.
Risk.
Yeah!
There you go.
Look at that,
Number
Tom.
5. Munchkin. I get it, right?
Yeah,
Munchkin is a
sure.
bunch of jokes. I don't think even if Munchkin was short, I would like it. That's kind of
you
where I'm
can
at.
keep pulling people back. That's a problem in game design you need to be careful of.
Number 4.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
All
I
right.
think
for me, too.
Unfathomable's not on the list because no one's talking about it or
Because
playing it.
Battlestar is what's
I'm
taking it, yeah.
calling that one for me too.
I count it. All right, number 3. Twilight Imperium.
Yeah.
I actually disagree with this one.
I
I
do
think
too.
it's too long for me to want to play, but I don't think you could shorten it without losing so much of the game.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
Number 2. Monopoly. That's kind of a given.
Yeah. I just
So what do we think number 1 is going to be before we see
Terraforming
it?
Mars.
I thought about Monopoly, putting it on the list.
Based on the number of people in our live chat that have mentioned Terraforming Mars, I think it's going to be number 1.
All
Have
right,
you
show
seen
it.
this?
I have.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's what
Interesting.
Prelude was about, right? Was to
Yeah, that's the first expansion in the
Yeah.
history of humankind that made a game shorter.
Like on purpose. It was designed
Yes.
to do that. Yeah.
But Monopoly, I thought about Monopoly on my list, and I thought if it was shorter, would I still enjoy
That's
it?
the
And the
issue.
answer was no.
That's the thing. It was. I
It's
don't,
not just the length.
Right.
It
Shorter
is
doesn't
super lucky.
necessarily make the turn to turn in that game better. It's the
right.
same.
Yes.
So, alrighty. Well, that wasn't too long of a top 10
No,
list.
look. This is what?
All right.
45
I can
minutes
only
per
wear the hat
player,
so
somewhere
long.
in that range.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you,
Lewis
everybody,
and
for
Clark
watching.
range.
This is this is not the last thing. Tomorrow, we're playing
That's
a
right.
live play tomorrow morning of a game called Elric. So come by and join us for that. There's a contest. You can win a copy of the game. And we got lots of reviews and videos going up over the course of this week. Next Thursday, we're not doing a top 10. Instead, we're going to be doing a tournament of the worst board game covers in the history of humankind.
Buckle up, everybody. That's going to be a lot of fun.
If you want to nominate games to be in the brackets for that, of which we're going to let you vote on, there's a thread on our Facebook group, Dice Tower Facebook group. So go in there. I've already seen some great candidates where I was like, yes, that's one of them. So,
I can't wait. I'm
And
very
then,
much looking forward to that.
like I said in the thread, if you don't like negativity, in a few weeks after that, we'll do the best box covers of all time. Less fun, but more uplifting. We cover everything.
That one, yeah. I mean,
Then we'll do the most mediocre.
to put a positive spin on it, I think it's going to be a lot easier to do the best looking boxes than it will be to do the worst looking.
Sure.
I think the art is uniformly better than worse. If that
Wouldn't
makes
that make
sense.
it harder then to pick the best?
No, because you've got so many to choose from.
Okay, you don't understand what best means.
Alrighty, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Until then, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia.
I'm Mike DiLisio.
Have fun. Don't waste your time.
Wrapping it up. Wrap it up.